Not include money for a border wall.
Is there any situation in which you would accept even $1 of wall funding?
$1? Yeah, $1.
The president's made it clear. We're here to make a deal, but we will have no deal without a wall.
Day one of the new Congress, a Democrat representative has already introduced articles of impeachment.
Bullies don't win. And I said, baby, they don't. Because we're going to go in there, we're going to impeach them.
Decorated Navy SEAL Special Operations Chief Edward Gallagher will be arraigned today for the killing of a young ISIS fighter in Iraq. If convicted, he could spend the rest of his life in prison.
The powerful photo of wounded vets now serving in Congress. Florida Representative Brian Mast tweeting, quote, 5 eyes, 5 arms, 4 legs, all American.
Make you glad.
Jenna,
yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Nice to see you. You blend right in with the couch.
I do. I did that on purpose. I like to camouflage myself, just in case.
Let's hope it doesn't snow if we go outside.
That's true. Illusion. That is very true.
It is.
Although I like a winter wonderland. So.
Hey, listen, welcome to the 116th Congress. It took the stage yesterday in Washington, D.C. Nancy Pelosi became the speaker. No surprise there. She gave a speech. It was a very good speech. She did invite the President of the United States to come back on January 29th for the State of the Union, and Fox and Friends will probably be there.
Really?
Yeah, probably. That's what I heard this morning.
Is that my briefing?
But she will also see the President of the United States this morning at 11:30 because the House passed 2 bills to reopen the government. But the problem is the president has made it very clear if there's no Waldo, he's not going to go for it.
Right. He's not. I also say with day 14 of the shutdown, Richard Shelby is predicting it's going to last for months. So that's pretty scary because you had hundreds of thousands of people whose livelihood depends on them not lasting months.
He's in charge of appropriations.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to get 11:30. We did think from Steny Hoyer it was going to be a 10:30 meeting. It quickly got changed. He had it wrong. And also on Nancy Pelosi's speech, she was muttering underneath her breath. I think I lost a few pages.
At the very end.
Yeah, she's like, sometimes it happens. Yeah. It was smooth until that.
Well, lots of people have been wondering if President Trump's going to dig his heels in or if he's going to cave.
Right.
Turns out Vice President Mike Pence is saying we will have no deal without the wall. Hammering that through. Take a listen.
Ever since the Christmas holiday, the president sent us to Capitol Hill. I met with Senator Schumer not once but twice. We engaged in good faith negotiations. The president and I canceled all of our Christmas vacation plans. We were here in Washington, D.C. Democrats broke off negotiations about a week ago, but the president's made it clear. We're here to make a deal, but it's a deal that's going to result in achieving real gains on border security, and you have no border security without a wall. We will have no deal without a wall.
Okay, so he's pretty clear about that.
Yep.
So Congress did pass 2 bills yesterday. One package was a package of 6 different spending bills that would open most of the government, except the Department of Homeland Security, which would be funded in that separate little sliver of a bill. The big question now is, will the president sign one of the 2? It goes to Mitch, of course, for his decision. He's not going to put anything up that the president won't sign. But if one reopens most of the government, would the president sign that? It's the other one, the Department of Homeland Security, that has no wall funding that the president really has a problem with. The big question is, will he use both as maximum leverage?
My prediction is he's not going to sign anything that doesn't involve border security. He's been talking about this wall for a really long time. The people who voted for him are counting on him to stand for him. What I found interesting is that one of the bills that Democrats put forth found a lot of money for other stuff. They found $12 billion for more international affairs programs, $700 million for the UN. So when they want to find money, they get out there and find money.
For other countries?
For other things, for other countries. But when it comes to our own border security, the protection of this nation and our own national security, drug trafficking, human trafficking, they think that's a big joke.
Well, the good news is where the mail is going to be delivered, the military, law enforcement, entitlement programs are largely unaffected. 9 departments, including Homeland Security, Justice, State, and Treasury, are affected. And you got about 800,000 people that are going to feel some type of hit. So we'll see what it means. Right now, the major impasse is the barrier, which is so maddening is Senator Dick Durbin in 2006, multiple times, Senator Schumer, you have Harry Reid when he was majority leader. Oh, they all said they need a fence. The word that I thought would have us debating on the couch would be fence or wall. But now the president says, my give is, I just want a barrier. But now the Democrats are saying, I don't remember even wanting a barrier. Speaker Nancy Pelosi says, I find it immoral, which is unbelievable. You would think that maybe you have to take down the hundreds of miles of fence we have already. And she wasn't shy about using sarcasm yesterday.
Is there any situation in which you would accept even $1 of wall funding for this president in order to reopen the government?
$1? $1. $1? Yeah, $1.
How high was you willing to go? Are you willing to go?
No, you said $1. You said $1.
So how high are you willing to go?
Well, that's not your question. You said $1. I'm answering your question. The fact is, a wall is an immorality.
Wow.
Okay, well, that is a headline right there, because she has just agreed to partially funding the wall to the tune of $1.
You know, like I said, she thinks this is a big joke. I don't find this funny at all. I mean, I think it's interesting that she can joke about, you know, a humanitarian crisis on the border, and they can find money for a bunch of other stuff and deprioritize national security. It's not immoral to know who's coming in and out of this country, to have ICE agents able to do their job, to have Border Patrol agents able to do their job to secure this country. And I think it's really offensive that when you have, you know, children coming here and suffering through horrific conditions to get over here, some dying, you had a child die, or a story that was widely reported, and you have her laughing about it. No, you have this administration trying to do something to prevent these crises, Nancy. It's not funny.
So let's see what the president and the congressional leaders do. They're going to meet today at 11:30 at the White House. Will there be a breakthrough? You'll find out about it here on Fox. Meanwhile, the president of the National Border Patrol Council, Brandon Judd, who actually stood behind the president yesterday in the briefing room and made some very pointed comments about the need for border protection, is going to join us live in the next hour.
Yeah, by the way, brilliant for the president to bring out the men and women who are actually doing the job every day. He came out during the press briefing room, and I think he took control of the narrative by hitting everybody with facts. And Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer weren't there to interrupt the people that are doing this work. Apolitical, just want to get it done. Meanwhile, you have to wonder how long it's going to take before impeachment comes up with this new Congress.
Well, on the first day of Democrat control, Brad Sherman, a Democrat from California, filed articles of impeachment, which he's done this before. He did it back in 2017. He is accusing the President of the United States of obstruction of justice over the way he fired James Comey, the former FBI director. Meanwhile, we heard from Jim Jordan, member of the House Freedom Caucus. He hit Twitter up pretty fast.
Yep, that's right. He says, we knew they couldn't help themselves. Representative Sherman files articles of impeachment on the president. Dems are more focused on stopping Trump than building the wall and helping the country. This is no surprise to a lot of people that they came out with this immediately.
I would think if they're going to have a strong leader, and the leader said, don't do this right away, we'll see what happens with the Mueller investigation, you would think that Sherman might say, I might listen to the new speaker, but he didn't care. So we'll see if that gets a vote. Meanwhile, Rashid Tlaib is one of the freshmen that is going to be, Rashida Tlaib, I should say, is one of the freshmen who is going to be in Washington. And I think she's going to be very open and honest when she can work with the president. Or she might not be. Try to read between the lines.
When your son looks at you and says, Mama, look, you won, bullies don't win. And I said, baby, they don't. Because we're going to go in there, we're going to impeach them.
It was a MoveOn.org rally.
The civility really does impress me, I have to say, right from the start. It's really quite impressive.
You know, she had made history earlier in the day. She was the first Palestinian-American woman to serve in Congress. She arrived and was sworn in wearing traditional Palestinian dress with elaborate embroidery called tatriz, I believe. And there she is right there. Made a lot of headlines with that. But then later, when she had that soundbite at that particular thing where she was talking about a conversation she had with her son, it does follow, though, what she had penned in the Detroit Free Press earlier in the day, which was an op-ed calling President Trump a direct and serious threat to America. But, you know, for Democrats who say this president is uncivil, he went over the line, inappropriate behavior for an elected official, you look at what she said at that MoveOn.org event last night, and you just say that was rough language. But is that just a preview of coming attractions? Don't know.
I think so. I think you're going to see that a lot more, too. And I don't think it's going to be surprising to a lot of people. The consensus among many was that Democrats were going to come in and the first thing they were going to do was investigate Donald Trump ad nauseum. And I caution them because, you know, people are expecting you, people who voted you in are expecting you to focus on policy, not investigations.
Why
so
investigate when you can impeach?
Of course. That's number. They've been trying to do that since the guy got elected. And we want to hear from you as well. Friends at FoxNews.com. We want to hear what you have to say. Should Democrats focus on this impeachment, and how will that work out for them?
Eric Swalwell says he'll either be impeached by us or at the ballot box. He's also running for president. Jillian is not running for president.
I am not running for president.
You're
we
going to
can
make that
confirm
clear, right?
Yes, make that
Not
very
yet
clear.
anyway, Jillian.
Nope. We do have a Fox News alert to get to, though, so let's get you caught up on this. Death stopped at his home after the alleged murder and covered his truck with plywood. He's accused of shooting and killing Officer Singh during a traffic stop one day after Christmas. Officer Singh's brother, Reggie, will join Fox and Friends for an exclusive interview later this morning. More than a dozen Democratic state attorneys general appealing a Texas judge's ruling that Obamacare is unconstitutional. The AGs from 16 states and Washington, D.C. putting the case in the Fifth Circuit's hands, arguing it threatens the entire health care system. The appeal comes after House Democrats gave themselves the ability to intervene in the lawsuit by passing the new rules package. And how about this? The dominant UConn women's hoops team stunned as their 126-game regular season win streak comes to an end.
Collier rejects Cox. Jackson's got it. And hits!
Number 8 Baylor topping the top-ranked Huskies 68-57, ending their more than 4-year streak. And it's the first time ever that the Lady Bears have beaten a top-ranked team. Ooh.
Takes the pressure off.
4 years.
To keep that winning streak going, that's a lot of pressure.
It is,
they don't have to worry about it now.
Notre Dame stunned them in the playoffs last year, and then this happens, even though we're all banged up. All right, Gino Auriemma, I don't think his job is in jeopardy right now. Meanwhile, 12 minutes after the hour.
Thank you, Jillian. Meanwhile, most people are focused on Democrats taking the House as they did yesterday, but many new Republicans are starting in Congress as well. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley is one of them. He replaces Claire McCaskill. He's going to join Brian next with how he's going to work with the opposition.
All right, and first they took away your plastic straws. Now they're trying to take away your meat.
Uh-oh.
Tommy Lair and Here to React.
And I pledge that this Congress will be transparent, bipartisan, and unifying, that we will seek to reach across the aisle in this chamber and across divisions across our nation.
A bipartisan message from newly ascended House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Now let's see how long that lasts. How about minutes? With most of the attention on Democrats taking control of the House, there are also a number of Republicans taking seats in the House and Senate for the first time. So how will they work with the opposition? After all, in the Senate, it's a 53-47 advantage now. Let's ask GOP lawmaker who was newly sworn in yesterday, I believe the youngest one of the Senate, Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri. Senator, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Day 1 is in the books, and already you have a crisis. Day 14 of a shutdown. I see 2 Republican senators are wavering, saying, I think we should reopen the government. Senator Collins and Senator Cory Gardner. Are you going to be the third?
You know, I'm going to say it's going to be awfully hard for me to support anything that does not include funding for a border wall. The president has been very clear on this. We need border security. We need to build the wall that's important to the people of my state. Listen, the people of Missouri have sent a message twice now in the last 2 years, 2016, 2018. They want our border secure, and that's what we've got to fight for.
All right, so we'll see how long this lasts. The president's dug in. He says he feels great support. He had stats backing him up yesterday. So I understand the president's backed off a little. He says, listen, I'm not saying a wall, a 2,000-mile wall. I'll take fence, I'll take barrier. We got to fix other places. So if he'll take fence and he'll take a barrier, and he's talking about metal slots, I was shocked to see Senator Schumer caught up was caught up with by a reporter on WCBS and was asked about his earlier comments in 2008 and 2006, saying he was for a fence and we need border security. He was confronted with that, and here's what he said.
It's not just fencing. A fence works. You ask the experts. A big concrete wall is expensive and doesn't work.
So he said, I'll take a fence. Is that a jumping off point?
You know, I mean, this is what this is all about. This is all about pure politics. I mean, the people of this country sent a message in 2016, 2018. They want results, Brian. They want the border secure. They want folks to actually get something done in Washington. And now you have the Democrats saying, we won't even come to the table. You can see it in Senator Schumer's response. I mean, it's the ever-shifting goalposts. President said, let's make a deal. Let's meet together. We've got to get border security. Let's make a deal. And you have the Democrats saying, no, we don't want to. The people of this country elected us to work. It is time the Democrats got to work. Stop with the partisanship. Stop focusing on 2020. You listen, Brian, it's like, you know, everybody around here is focused on 2020 and the Democrats running for president. They need to do their jobs right now.
All right, so you're the youngest guy there, youngest person there, 38 years old. You already have day one in the books. What committees are you going to be on? And what do you expect to happen today? The House voted to go home. The Senate didn't. So what happened? What committees are you on?
I'm on Judiciary and Armed Services, Homeland Security, and I'm looking forward to serving. You know, there's a tremendous amount of work to do. We talk about putting pro-Constitution judges on the bench, Brian. Hugely important, hugely significant. I hope we can make a lot of progress on that starting ASAP.
Yeah, and we have a meeting today at 11:30. The president hopes to get both sides in there, and hopefully they'll make some progress so we could start getting something done. Congratulations, Senator. Day one to the books. Good luck on day two.
Thank you so much.
All right, coming up straight ahead. A decorated Navy SEAL facing court-martial for murder following the death of an ISIS fighter. Yeah, of an ISIS fighter, and he's on case for murder. His brother calls the case a farce. He joins us live next. Plus, many Democrats slamming our country again, saying American exceptionalism is a dangerous myth. We're going to look at that article.
Welcome back. We have some quick headlines for you. Elizabeth Warren heading to Iowa this weekend for a 2020 preview tour. The Massachusetts senator will make 5 stops in 3 days in the Hawkeye state as she tries to drum up support ahead of next year's caucus. Warren entered the 2020 race for president Monday in what's shaping up to be a crowded field. But Dianne Feinstein says former Vice President Joe Biden is Democrats' best bet to beat President Trump in 2020. Feinstein telling Politico, I've watched him as vice president. I've seen him operate. I've seen him perform. He brings a level of experience and seniority, which I think is really important. Biden has yet to announce a 2020 run. Steve, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jedediah. This morning, a decorated Navy SEAL facing court-martial later today for the murder of an ISIS fighter in Iraq. Special Operations Chief Edward Eddie Gallagher has an extraordinary Navy SEAL resume, including 19 years of service, 8 combat tours, and twice awarded the Bronze Star with V for valor. But now he is facing multiple charges, including premeditated murder. If convicted, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. Chief Gallagher vowing to clear his name on all charges. His brother, Sean Gallagher, joins us right now, as you can see, from our nation's capital. Sean, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Thank you.
Your brother was deployed a number of times, and on the, I believe it was his 8th deployment, he talked to you and he said, this one is different. I'm in charge of trying to get rid of ISIS out of the Mosul area, which they effectively did. But he said it was really different. It was like a Game of Thrones situation.
Absolutely. You know, my brother has fought every enemy we've had since 9/11. He's fought the Taliban, he's fought Al-Qaeda, and last year in Mosul, he was charged with clearing ISIS from the Iraqi city. And if, you know, the president has claimed success in defeating ISIS, and you can draw a direct line from that success to my brother, who led one of the most successful platoons in Mosul to clear ISIS from Iraq. And yes, they are one of the most beastly and just indiscriminate enemies that we've had. And it's people like Eddie that we send there to fight them. And so he did that successfully. And when he comes back months later, a couple guys make up stories about what happened, and then he's stripped of all of his rights. He's stripped of all of his due process and thrown in jail. And so today I'm very happy and honored that you're here, you know, to have us on the show to tell this story about this man who's being unfairly and unjustly treated. And we're pleading with, you know, whoever we can talk to for help.
Sean, you were suggesting that these people who have made these allegations against your brother, you say your brother, when he was running the platoon, he was just pushing them too hard. They couldn't take it. And you, according to an op-ed you wrote, you said that if they could get rid of him, have him put the squeeze on him, get him to retire, their careers would be saved.
Yeah, so you have to understand in the Navy SEALs, reputation is everything. You have to understand that, you know, the confidence in the man next to you is as big a currency as you can get. And so there were two guys that on this last deployment buckled under his leadership. You know, my brother called them out for being cowards in combat, because you have to realize not being able to take the fight to the enemy in a battle, for, you know, and when you're fighting ISIS, is dangerous. It puts men's lives at risk. And so my brother reprimanded them. And when they got back, they were so afraid and embarrassed about what would happen to their careers and reputations that months later, and I can't stress this enough, they didn't report it at the time, they didn't report it when they got back. Months after they got back, they spun up stories to try and get my brother under investigation so they could skate by.
Sean,
and the thing is, oh, yes?
I've got to ask you about the specific charges, though. Your brother is accused of premeditated murder. The way you tell the story is this ISIS fighter had already been shot, and your brother was trying to revive him, and now people are saying that he killed a guy who was about to die?
Yes, and so, and again, I can't stress this enough. Like every headline that you hear in this story it's a concoction from these two people, and you know, every slanderous word, but the specific details. It's ridiculous at the outset that an ISIS fighter who was part of a team he was in a compound that was shelled. All of them died but one. He has a sucking chest wound. He has a severed artery. My brother and a couple other Navy SEALs were working to revive him so that they could later interrogate him, and he dies of his already existing wounds. And my brother literally is accused of helping an already dying ISIS fighter die and is facing life in prison.
Well, he's going to be arraigned later today. He's charged with premeditated murder, attempted murder, aggravated assault with a dangerous weapon, obstruction of justice, and related offenses. The Navy put out a statement, Sean. It reads, no additional information is available at this time regarding the scheduling of Gallagher's court-martial or other pretrial hearings. So you're saying he didn't do any of that stuff. All these stories were ginned up by people in his team who he had squeezed too hard in battle, in that Game of Thrones style battle with ISIS.
Yes, and the thing is, too, the thing that makes us so, I think, frustrated and infuriated as a family is that there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that clears my brother, that exonerates him from all of these charges. There are 2 Iraqi generals that say that they were there at the incident and that this never happened. There are multiple of his teammates who literally say they saw this ISIS fighter breathe his last breath from injuries sustained from a shelling in a compound, and that we know these guys who are making these accusations and that they're made up. And so at every stage of this process, my family has been just perplexed at why prosecutors have abused their authority in going after a decorated warrior. And Steve, you know, my brother has spent 8 Christmases away from his family fighting for our freedoms, and now he just spent his 9th in jail, ripped of his rights as an American citizen. And so we're pleading today for help from the people and from the President of the United States to come to our aid.
Look at that, asking for the President to help out. Sean Gallagher making the case for his brother Eddie. Sean, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we will keep you posted what happens with the arraignment later today. Meanwhile, a new sketch released by police as the manhunt intensifies for a little girl's killer. How 2 sports stars are stepping up to help her family. Plus the media gushing over Nancy Pelosi when she gets the gavel back.
A beaming Nancy Pelosi made a triumphant return to power.
Today belongs to her as a triumphant Pelosi and her party take over the House.
Tomi Lahren is curious. She says, where was that kind of love for Republican women? And Tomi joins us live next.
Nancy Pelosi, the first woman to ever be Speaker of the House, now returning for her 2nd run in the role.
A beaming Nancy Pelosi made a triumphant return to power.
Today belongs to her as a triumphant Pelosi and her party take over the House.
History was made today. Nancy Pelosi took the gavel as Speaker of the House for a 2nd time, the only woman to ever hold that role.
100 years from when women were given the right to vote. So it was a historic day.
It was, and so many new members of Congress are women as well. Let's bring in Tomi Lahren, Fox Nation host. She joins us from our left coast. Good morning to you, Tomi.
Morning, Tommy.
Good morning, guys.
What do you think of this love fest, this media love fest for Nancy Pelosi? I don't remember Republican women getting quite the fervor when, you know, Nikki Haley or Sarah Palin or anyone accomplishes a big political task.
Well, I think this is an attempt to make Nancy Pelosi seem young, cool, and relevant again, so they have to hype up this love fest. They do the same thing with Hillary Clinton. It didn't work. They're never going to have this love for Republican women, but I guess that just means that Republican women, they don't need the hype. They're cool on their own. We know that Nancy, Elizabeth Warren, and Hillary Clinton, they could certainly use it, so more power to them.
Right. It seemed like the media was ebullient. In fact, people were writing that she is now the equal of the President of the United States.
That's what she said.
Right.
She's writing that, right.
All right. Meanwhile, Tommy, New York Magazine had a headline, American exceptionalism is a dangerous myth. And they went on to say in the column, the exceptionalist narrative is most dangerous for the way it implies that assertions of American power on the world stage should be presumed well-intentioned until proven otherwise. Relatedly, the myth of American exceptionalism functions as rationale for the U.S. to subordinate international law to its own enlightened judgment, they write. What say you?
Full stop.
Well, the left is never going to understand American exceptionalism because they don't believe in American exceptionalism. But I don't know about you guys. I believe we live in the greatest nation on the face of the earth. I believe that we are a beaming light for the rest of the world. And for those who feel otherwise, there are 195 other countries. So I suggest they go pick one.
All right. The other thing that's important to point out is, as you know, environmentalists have targeted the straw. Not the sippy cup, the straw.
The plastic straw.
Yes, you're right, Steve. I stand corrected. Now there's a big movement to go after meat. In fact, the headline reads something like this from BuzzFeed. The environmental cost of eating meat is turning people into veganism. Here's what you need to know about eating beef in 2019.
Well, of course, they're going to go after everything that brings us joy in life because they literally take joy in taking joy. But I'll tell you this. I live in California. Many other states are doing it as well with the banning the plastic straw. Now we have to use those flimsy things. But they're going to now come for our meat. And as someone who was born and raised in South Dakota, I can tell you, not going to be happy about it. But furthermore, if you read into the article and you read the rationale behind this, they believe that cow flatulence is a cause of climate change, so now they want to limit that, and if we would just all stop eating meat, they think that they can limit the cow flatulence. Yes, that really is how far the left has gone, that they want to regulate cow farts.
Wow, bans, fines, criticizing American exceptionalism. Sounds like a great plan from the Democrats.
Right.
Friday. All right.
Thanks so much for joining us.
So the theory is, of course, if you don't need cows, we won't have cows, therefore they won't be.
Yes.
It's a methane thing.
Right.
Tommy, thank you very much. Of course, Tommy is one of the hosts on Fox Nation. If you'd like more information and you don't have the streaming service yet, go to foxstation.com, figure out how to do it. It's a streaming subscription service. All of us have it. We watch it all the time.
I have not met anyone who has not downloaded the app.
Is that right?
The whole country has downloaded the app.
Fantastic.
Everyone is plugged in.
They have to have a younger person explain how to download the app.
That's all right.
Hey, by the way, Tommy, great sense of style. We're wearing the same thing, so you know, I had to just shout it out. I like your dress.
3,000 miles away.
I know, right? Great minds think alike. Okay, let's get you caught up on some of your stories that we're following, starting with this. This is the man right here. Witnesses say murdered a young Houston girl. Police releasing this brand new sketch as the manhunt intensifies. 7-year-old Jasmine Barnes was riding in a car with her mom and 2 sisters when the suspect pulled up and opened fire. Jasmine died at the scene. Her mother was also shot but is okay. Her parents believe the shooting was racially motivated. Houston Texans wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins now donating his NFL playoff check to Jasmine's family, saying she reminds him of his own daughter. And NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal and a Houston officer also teaming up to pay for her funeral. Look at this terrifying video showing an armed robber climbing over a desk counter and attacking a hotel clerk in Florida. The masked man covering the woman's mouth before she was able to yell for help. Authorities say she was told to open the safe but didn't have the code. The two struggling before a guest actually walked down. The suspect jumping over the counter, taking off. It's unclear if anything was stolen. The suspect is still on the loose. An anti-religion group is demanding a Missouri courthouse ditch this Ground Zero painting. It honors the men and women who died in the September 11th terror attacks. But the Freedom from Religion Foundation says the mural's cross violates the separation of church and state. County officials will reportedly meet on Tuesday to discuss the painting. And Kevin Hart now says he's considering coming back as the Oscars host after talking to Ellen DeGeneres on her show.
Academy today, because I really want you to host the Oscars. I said, Kevin's on. I have no idea if he wants to come back and host, but what are your thoughts? And they were like, oh my God, we want him to host. The Academy is saying, what can we do to make this happen?
That full interview on Ellen airs today. The actor stepped down from hosting the show after facing backlash for controversial tweets that resurfaced.
He talked about having 40,000 tweets. He says they zoom in on 2 of 40,000 tweets and they try to destroy him. And for Ellen, he says, listen, I apologize for it. I said it already. I'm never going to say it again. But he took a stand. He says, I'm not going to be, no one's going to destroy me, and I'm going to go after it. And for Ellen to tell him, I want you to go do it, I think he goes and does it.
I think she's right. I hope he does do it, honestly.
Political correctness push back.
Meanwhile, Janice Dean, the weather machine. Last time I saw Janice, she was actually at a bar in Long Island.
There was a purpose for being at a bar in Long Island. My husband was promoted battalion chief yesterday with the Fire Department of New York City. Big deal. There he is, my husband. He is somebody that doesn't like to be in the spotlight, but certainly he deserves it yesterday and today. Big deal. He's been studying hard. It takes a lot of hard work to become a battalion chief. I'm very proud of him and all of those guys, all of the men and the women that serve in the FDNY. And there, of course, Steve and Ainsley came. And, of course, I invited Brian. Brian was busy. But you know what? There's going to be many more celebrations in Long Island, and you will all be invited.
Well, you know, the great thing about the men and women your husband worked with is they're all heroes. And, you know, every day they go to work to do their job and to save our lives. And hats off to everybody watching in the fire department.
I'm very lucky to be part of this family, but I am also very lucky to be part of the FDNY family, a very important part of New York history.
There you go.
So big congrats, Janice, and thank him so much for all he does for all of us.
Thank you so much.
And Janice, where's he going to be?
Pardon me?
Where's he going to be? The battalion chief.
Right now, he works at the Counterterrorism Center, but he will be in charge of a battalion certainly in the next couple of months.
Wow.
And wave, everybody. This is my fan group that also came to cheer on my husband with the FDNY.
Wow. Hi, guys.
Thank you guys so much. Oh, are we doing weather? Oh, we're doing some weather. Oh, I have time to do weather. All right, let's quickly do that. Here in the Northeast, that's what I'm here for. We do have 30s across the New York City area. A storm system moving across the Southeast up towards the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. This is the system we're going to be watching over the next couple of days. There are going to be travel delays, so call ahead. Okay, real quick, folks, where are you from?
Harrisburg, North Carolina.
James?
Tessie and Harold Johnson.
Nice.
David Cowder from Gary, Indiana.
And
Brenda Langston from Niceville, Florida.
And Fred from Niceville, Florida.
Aw, you're so nice. Thank you guys for coming at 6:30 in the morning. This is my favorite part of the job. And thank you all for cheering on my husband as well.
He's a great man.
Thanks, Janice.
Congratulations, Sean and Janice. And
absolutely.
All right, coming up. All right, President Trump pushing for border security during a surprise appearance at the White House briefing room. National Border Patrol Counsel President Brandon Judd will be here live. He was right behind the president, and he's got this thing called experience and stats to back him up.
And you've heard of police using DNA to catch criminals. Now there's a revolutionary new tool to find your stolen property using a similar technology. Kurt the Cyber Guy, he's joining us next to show us how it works.
DNA for your stuff? A revolutionary new kit can actually help police identify your property, things like this, if they are stolen.
The simple kit created by Protect DNA uses an invisible tag on your personal belongings to help law enforcement return them to you in the event of a robbery or theft.
But that tag is really tiny, and to show us how it works, we got Kurt the Cyber Guy. Kurt, 5,000 police departments are already using this.
Yep.
Tell us about anti-theft
This
DNA.
is the greatest tech invention in the longest time.
That's big from you, too.
Here's what I love. I love that it's free.
Yep.
You pay $5 for the shipping for it to get to you. The insurance company is really backing this. That's why it's so next to free for us.
How does this thing work?
So easy. So you get sent a kit after you register either online, or they now have a downloadable app you can use. It's free.
Of course.
And you simply get this kit, and it comes with a swab, and you get about 80 or 100 items, from jewelry to valuables like a laptop to your favorite scooter at home, things you think might walk away, the golf clubs. And what happens is...
Put one on a golf club.
What you would do is, I already did, actually, you're holding where it's already marked, and that's a great thing, because thieves don't know that this is on there. So 3,000 micro dots right there,
so there's
unique to you.
In that little envelope are a bunch of micro dots, each with a unique identification number.
Correct. So when the police get a hold of stolen merchandise, they have an infrared scanner at 5,000 departments so far, and they just keep adding them.
Oh, wow.
And it shows up with your unique number, your name, and your phone number, and this property shows up in their database, and they can pick up the phone and say, Jedediah, Steve, I've got your scooter.
Wow.
Boom, that fast. So what that does is it's make things pawn-proof. So if a crook steals from you, they go put it online, or they go to a pawn shop, this can be quickly identified by any law enforcement or a pawn shop that is also equipped to
Is
scan
this
it.
news getting out there enough so that people are going to be disincentivized to
That's
steal?
why as of this morning, it is. Yeah, so
we need to get this
yeah,
out
so
there.
it's called ProtectDNA.com. Okay. It is free, but you pay $5 for the shipping for it. You get the packet. It is a no-brainer. How do you lose? Because this stuff goes on your, and you can see the little tiny dots that are inside of it. And then on the
you can
infrared,
actually see
on the
them, guys.
device that the police have, because they get a camera that reads this, is your unique code.
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic.
So once again, is ProtectDNA.com, or go to cyberguide.com or foxandfriends.com.
There you go.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Still to come, we have Anthony Scaramucci.
We do. There he is right there. Plus, NFL anthem kneelers are standing up, and now TV ratings are going up with them. Former Super Bowl champ Burgess Owens says that should be a wake-up call for protesters. His explanation comes up next.
House Democrats passing a spending bill overnight, but it does not include money for a border wall.
Is there any situation in which you would accept even $1 of wall funding?
$1? Yeah, $1.
The president's made it clear. We're here to make a deal, but we will have no deal without a wall.
Day one of the new Congress, a Democrat representative has already introduced articles of impeachment.
Bullies don't win. And I said, baby, they don't. Because we're going to go in there, we're going to impeach them.
Decorated Navy SEAL Special Operations Chief Edward Gallagher will be arraigned today for the killing of a young ISIS fighter in Iraq. If convicted, he could spend the rest of his life in prison.
The powerful photo of wounded vets now serving in Congress. Florida Representative Brian Mast tweeting, quote, 5 eyes, 5 arms, 4 legs, all American.
Make you glad.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Nice to see you. You blend right in with the couch.
I do. I did that on purpose. I like to camouflage myself just in case. You know?
Let's hope it doesn't snow if we go outside.
That's true. That is very true.
It is.
Although I like a winter wonderland. So.
Hey, listen, welcome to the 116th Congress. It took the stage yesterday in Washington, D.C. Nancy Pelosi became the speaker. No surprise there. She gave a speech. It was a very good speech. She did invite the President of the United States to come back on January 29th for the State of the Union, and Fox and Friends will probably be there.
Really?
Yeah, probably. That's what I heard this morning.
Is that my briefing?
But she will also see the President of the United States this morning at 11:30, because the House passed 2 bills to reopen the government. But the problem is the president has made it very clear, if there's no Waldo, he's not going to go for it.
Right. He's not. I also say with day 14 of the shutdown, Richard Shelby is predicting it's going to last for months. So that's pretty scary, because you had hundreds of thousands of people whose livelihood depends on them not lasting months.
He's in charge of appropriations.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to get 11:30. We did think from Steny Hoyer it was going to be a 10:30 meeting. It quickly got changed. He had it wrong. And also on Nancy Pelosi's speech, she was muttering underneath her breath. I I think I lost a few pages.
At the very end.
Yeah, she's like, sometimes it happens. It was smooth until that.
Well, lots of people have been wondering if President Trump's going to dig his heels in or if he's going to cave.
Right.
Turns out Vice President Mike Pence is saying we will have no deal without the wall. Hammering that through. Take a listen.
Ever since the Christmas holiday, the president sent us to Capitol Hill. I met with Senator Schumer not once but twice. We engaged in good faith negotiations. The president and I canceled all of our Christmas vacation plans. We were here in Washington, D.C. Democrats broke off negotiations about a week ago, but the president's made it clear. We're here to make a deal, but it's a deal that's going to result in achieving real gains on border security, and you have no border security without a wall. We will have no deal without a wall.
Okay, so he's pretty clear about that.
Yep.
So Congress did pass 2 bills yesterday. One package was a package of 6 different spending bills that would open most of the government, except the Department of Homeland Security, which would be funded in that separate little sliver of a bill. The big question now is, will the president sign one of the 2? It goes to Mitch, of course, for his decision. He's not going to put anything up that the president won't sign. But if one reopens most of the government, would the president sign that? It's the other one, the Department of Homeland Security, that has no wall funding that the president really has a problem with. The big question is, will he use both as maximum leverage?
My prediction is he's not going to sign anything that doesn't involve border security. He's been talking about this wall for a really long time. The people who voted for him are counting on him to stand firm. What I found interesting is that one of the bills that Democrats put forth found a lot of